Burn down south, Maharaj.
Okay. So this week we're going to start Bhagavad-Gita, and I'll just say Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So yeah. So we can just talk a little bit about the structure of the Bhagavad Gita first. So it's described that, by Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur that it's like a jewel box. In the bottom half is the first 6 chapters. And the first 6 chapters are called Karma Yoga. How to, work in this world so we can make spiritual progress. And then the lid of the jewel box is called Jnana Yoga. That's the last 6 chapters. And they tell us how to make progress with knowledge. And then the inside is a jewel. The crown jewel is Bhakti Yoga. And so that's the middle 6 chapters. Chapters 7 to 12. So it's like a sandwich, in other words, when you have a sandwich, you don't say a bread sandwich, do you? You actually call it by what's in the middle. So it's the same with Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so I'll just try and... Well, not before... I've got here, this is from Bhakti Shastri, but we'll not be following it so strictly because it's an overview. We'll say some things, and I'll just share it with you. Yes, our first chapter is the... What I suggest everybody does, I had to post it, is that, to get a benefit is just read through each chapter before we do it. And especially the introduction. The introduction is long, it's about 40 pages. But it does actually give a good grounding in what Bhagavad Gita is speaking about. And then if we read the chapter itself, we'll be able to piece together the overview very nicely. And we can do that for next week anyway. Yeah, so the introduction, there it is. And then that's 1 to 27. Let me just go a little bit further. Yeah, so Karma Yoga means we link our consciousness with the Supreme in the, activity, in the working process. And then Jnana Yoga means, we perform Bhakti. Well, in Karma Yoga, we're also doing a little bit of Bhakti, because we're following the directions of the Lord as given in the Shastra. But it's predominantly in, the working mode. We're predominantly materialistic. And then Jnana Yoga, that means that it's predominantly with knowledge, not necessarily Bhakti. The middle 6 chapters mean we've understood the goal of life, and we fully engage in service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, with devotion. So this is what Prabhupada actually gave us. Although we're at different levels, we maybe work with the body or with the mind, or we're predominantly interested in philosophy, or we're interested in, doing things practically. But these things, because bhakti is mixed in with it, eventually that working process will work through the material qualities and we'll finish it with pure bhakti. So Prabhupada always stressed that we do everything, in devotional service to try and satisfy Krishna, because that's the goal. And when we come to the point of taking devotional service seriously, we do that. Devotional service means, what's a pure devotee? Prabhupada, I was reading in the Bhagavatam, and he said a pure devotee is not necessarily on that pure platform. He's got so many things, so many anarthas or material desires. But if his desire is is pure, he wants to actually become a pure devotee, he's considered pure devotional service. So that says a lot, because, devotional service is not acquisition of knowledge, it's actually a change of heart. At the moment, our hearts are attached to the material world, aren't they? We get a kick out of trying to enjoy things in this world. And so bhakti means that changes to really becoming attracted and attached to trying to please Krishna. So externally, if we agree to follow the instructions of the spiritual master, then we'd actually consider it pure. Prabhupada was once asked, how many pure devotees are there in the movement? And Prabhupada turned to one of his disciples and says, how many devotees are in the movement? And he gave a number. He says, we've got that many pure devotees, because they're following the instructions of the pure devotee. So at the end of the day, we may do so many things wrong, we may have so many misunderstandings. But, if their heart's in the right place, people say in the material world, his heart's in the right place. So that's what Krishna looked for. He doesn't look for the externals. I remember I'm reading about chasing rhinos with the Swami. Has anybody read any of those books? I just finished the last one, the third one. And towards the end, last few pages, Shyamsundar were leaving Prabhupada to, he'd actually come to a point in his devotional service where he needed to actually have some space for one reason. And he also wanted to do business to both support the movement and take responsibility for his family. He felt that he wasn't doing that. And so Prabhupada understood what was happening. And, at some point he said, I'm sorry I couldn't serve you, properly the way you deserve, but, I'm just like, say, a conditioned soul. And Prabhupada said, don't worry, you've actually done so much service, and you've acquired Bhaktivedanta Mana. He says, so I won't forget you. So, that's the real thing, is that later in Bhagavadgita, it says, if one sincerely says, from this day I am yours to the Supreme Lord, he says, then he becomes a ward of the Lord, and the Lord gives him full protection. So, what does full protection mean? It means it protects the soul from degradation. And even though we may get tied up in so many mischiefs, we'll suffer like anything. But, Krishna will protect us from falling. He'll actually bring us back to his lotus feet again. Okay. So here we have a structure. 1 to 4 is participation in the war. Anyway, we'll not follow this so strictly because it's not the way I'm going to do it. But so I'll just explain basically. Let's go to the beginning. I hope it doesn't confuse you, these two different things, but if it does, then I'll turn it off. There we are. Right. Who wants to start? I'll recite the verses. It'll give us practice, even if we're not really very confident. And by, reciting them, we become confident. Yeah. Otherwise, we don't make any progress. It's only by practice. Dhamak Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dhamak Kshetre Karushetre Samaveta Yutsavaha Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kim Makurvata Chanjaya. Okay, Jai Krishna Prabhu, do you want to start?
Well, which bit do you want me to read? Just the do you want me to read the?
Yeah, we'll just read through the translations.
Yeah, okay.
Get the thread, and I'll piece it together as much as I can. So first,
Okay.
this is the first verse is, Dhritarashtra's inquiry about the Battle of Kurukshetra,
Yeah, okay.
on the battlefield.
So I'll just read the translation. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjay, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do?
Right.
Shall I go on?
No, not yet. So, in this particular, what can I say, back to Shastri handbook, it goes into detail. But basically, we can say that Dhritarashtra is in material consciousness. He's attached to his sons. He's fearful that, the Pandavas are pious. They're in a holy place where the influence of the holy place will influence in favor of the Pandavas. And he's fearful of, his son's situation. He's asking, what did they do there? He wants to make sure that they fight and that his own men wins, his own sons win, because they far outnumber the Pandavas. I think it's twice as many devotees, twice as many warriors. I think that 18 Akshuhinis, weren't they? And 6 or 7 were actually on the Pandava side. The rest, there were 11 on the Kauravas side, Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra's side. So there were, very, very big odds. And let's have a look what else it says here. See, I've just explained the okay. And Sanjay, he could see what was happening. How could he relate Bhagavadgita, which is in this first chapter? He's explaining what happened there. He says that by the mercy of Vyasa, his spiritual master, he got spiritual vision to see. And it says it's twofold. We get the mercy of the spiritual master, which is indirect connection with Krishna. But also the perception is direct. He could directly see. So in devotional service, it's like that, isn't it? We get the instructions of the spiritual master, but when we put them into practice, we actually perceive the actual result. And when we become more, advanced in devotional service, then we're able to perceive Krishna. We get more intelligence. The super soul's there, but most of the time we're not, able to perceive correctly what the super soul may be trying to guide us. So we need the spiritual master. But as we become more experienced and purified, then we can understand directly. he says the mind is a friend or the enemy in the 6th chapter. Yeah. But, you know, if we're able to control the mind, then we can directly perceive the soul. But we shouldn't try that, you know, even if we actually think we can perceive a soul, we should check. Always, it might not be, you know what I mean? Okay. So that's the first verse. Then there's a section here, which is from 2 to, what is it, 2 to 11, I think. Yeah, 2 to 11. So this is where Duryodhana comes into the scene. He's seeing the situation on the battlefield, and he wants to make sure he actually is in a good position. So the first person he goes to is Duryodhana, Dronacharya. So carry on reading a few verses, Jai Krishna. Oh. Is it?
Yes, sorry, the translation, Maharaj.
Yeah, just a translation.
Okay. Sanjay said, "O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following words. O mighty, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Draupadi. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen, equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna, great fighters like Duryodhana, Virata, and Draupadi. There are also great heroic powerful fighters like Dhritarashtra, Chekitana, Kaziraj, Purajit, Kuntibhoja, and Saibya. There is the mighty Yudhamanyu, a very powerful Uttamaju, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters.
Okay. So he got to Dronacharya, and he knows that, you know, Dronacharya performed or Drupad performed you know, Drupad's an enemy of Dronacharya. They were friends when they were at school. But there was a disagreement, and they were always quarreling. And so finishing, to cut a long story short, you know, Drupad, he performed a sacrifice, and after that sacrifice came two living entities. One was Draupadi, and the other one was Dhristadyumna. And he said when Dhristadyumna appeared, he said he appeared for the annihilation of Drona. So Dhristadyumna is actually the commander-in-chief of the Pandavas. And, you know, Dronacharya taught him everything he knew. He was the martial teacher of all the Kauravas and Pandavas. And so, you know, here, Duryodhana was actually warning. He's warning, or he's trying to alert him to the situation that, you know, the adversary on the other side is actually born for your death, and you've taught him everything. So don't be lenient in the fight. That's it. That's the meaning of what he's saying here. And he's also saying that, you know, there are actually a lot of expert fighters on the other side. So he's a diplomat. He's able to inspire people by saying the appropriate things at appropriate times. Okay. Don, would you like to read? Just from 7.
O best of the Brahmanas, for your information, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. There are personalities like yourself, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Aspatama, Vikana, and the sons of Somadatta, called Burshvava, who are always victorious in battle. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons, and all are experienced in military science. Our strength is immeasurable, and we are perfectly protected by Grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. Now all of you must give full support to Grandfather Bhishma, standing at your respective strategic points in the phalanx of the army. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandson of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, like the sound of a lion, giving Duryodhana joy.
Okay. So that's the next section. So, you know, he went to Dronacharya first, but then being a diplomat, he thought, well, Bhishma may feel, you know, he's like the grandsire of the Kaurava dynasty. So he might feel, you know, being a Kshatriya, insulted. So then, you know, he actually glorifies Bhishma. And then the soldiers who are also present, they may feel minimized, that he's only glorifying the leaders. So then he says that, you know, you should all give protection to Grandfather Bhishma in case somebody takes advantage from one side while he's fighting on this side. So in one way, he's learning the art of not treading on anybody's toes and simultaneously inspiring them. So this is what diplomats do, don't they? Not like the diplomats of today. You ask them a question, they never give an answer. They'll say, you know, I hear that, you know, and when you were last in power, you know, there were so many people out of work. He says, yes, but before that, you know, we did so many good things. He never actually, you know, answered the question. Okay, enough said. Anything else on this? Okay, so Bhishma could see that, you know, Duryodhana was really agitated and fearful, even though he was trying to, you know, cover it up. And so then he didn't answer him because he didn't have anything to say in his favor. And so just to give him some encouragement, he started to blow his conch shell so that, you know, it would actually enliven his own soldiers and hopefully give fear to the Pandava army. But, you know, Bhishma was thinking, what's the point of all this talking? You know, let's get on with it. Okay, carry on. We'll hear about what happened with the conch shells now.
Right.
There's a message do you want to read?
Okay. After that, the conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his, the Devadatta, and Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific conch shell called Poundra. King Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell, the Ananta Vijaya, and Nakula Sahadeva blew the Sugosha and Manipushpaka. The great archer, the king of Kashi, the great fighter, Shikandi, Drishtadyumna, Virata, the unconquerable Satyaki, Drupada, and sons of Draupadi, and others, O king, such as the mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells. The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious. Vibrating both in the sky and on the earth, it shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra.
Okay.
At the time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words.
Okay.
He said,
Yes, so the names of the different conch shells are given on the Pandava side, so that's indicating that they'll survive the battle. But everybody else, they don't. They just mention that they blew the conch shells. And so, what's the word that they use? They call it. Let's have a look. Okay.
18.
you said after 20.
Anyway,
Mm.
there's no loss. So they blew the conch shells, and then, you know, Arjuna, he sees now it's time to actually start the battle. And so we'll hear how he wants to determine the power of the soldiers on the other side. So if you can just imagine the battle, you know, everybody's raring to go. They're all shouting abuse of one another. There's a tumultuous sound, you know, and conch shells are blowing and they're all getting fired up. And then, you know, let's see what Arjuna does at this point. So, Padma, would you like to read?
Arjuna said, O infallible one, please draw my chariots between the two armies, so that I may see those present here who desire to fight, and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Sanjaya said, O descender of Bharat, having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, just behold, partner, all the Kurus assembled here. There Arjuna could see within the midst of the armies of both parties, his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, paternal uncles, brothers' sons, grandsons' friends, and also his father-in-laws and well-wishers. When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus.
Okay. Yeah, so then, you know, in the middle of the two armies, Arjuna asked Krishna to, you know, pull the chariot between them so he can see who's on the other side, and he's shocked. And, you know, Krishna says, behold, all the Kauravas. He'd actually read, you know, he'd read Arjuna's mind. And he knew that he would actually balk. You know what balk means? He wouldn't want to fight. So, you know, Arjuna was placed into that situation. Ordinarily, he wouldn't actually hesitate to fight, even against his own kinsman, because that's the duty of a fighter. But, you know, Krishna covered him by his potency, pastime potency. So you know, he was seeing things through material eyes, just like a conditioned soul sees through material eyes. And therefore, you know, he would actually be able to preach to Arjuna the philosophy of, you know, philosophy of life, especially the philosophy of Bhakti Yoga, for the benefit of everybody who hears. So that was the motive, that, you know, Krishna regularly does it in different situations, all the way through the Bhagavatam. And you'll find that, you know, you wonder why certain devotees are acting in certain ways, like Bhishma.
Oh, okay. Swami correct.
And so, you know, this is actually because they.
Starting the chalu kare from one to one.
Can you turn your? Can you turn? Haribol, turn your microphone on.
ના આ બધું ક્યાં મૂકવાનું તો એ મૂકી દેજો
ના એ તો આ તો ગરાજમાં મૂકવાનું છે તો ગરાજમાં તમારી છે થાળી મારી નથી હા
થાળી તમારી નથી ઓકે
એક સેકન્ડ આશાને પણ
આની અંદર એક પેન્ડો છે I have two left over, one for you, one for Rahina.
I can't find it. I can't mind them. Let's have a look. Anyways, maybe they've done it now.
I think she's having a meal, Maharaj. So she's got it. She's having what's the dinner.
Yeah, let's hope we don't get it again. You know, in a small screen, usually when it's on the full screen, you can see, okay, just let me stop share and turn everybody off. Is anybody left on here?
She's gone, Maharaj.
Hey, they've
She's
gone.
gone.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. She's gone to have a dinner. She was talking about.
Okay. What were I saying now? We were talking about drawing between two armies. That's right. And so now Arjuna will start giving, you know, reasons why he shouldn't actually do his duty as a Kshatriya. And it's the same with spiritual life, you know, we have a duty in life, and due to material contamination, we find it hard to do. And so the whole philosophy will be revealed based on that. That just as we're finding difficulty, Arjuna found difficulty. Why? Because the consciousness is not correct. It's not pure. When the mind's clear, they say the clear-minded sages. It means it's clear of material contamination. Then we can actually understand things nicely. You know, it's full knowledge develops, who we really are, how we're related to Krishna. And so now Arjuna's not in that consciousness. And he'll present so many arguments why he can't actually fight in this particular battle. And that's what we're going to hear about next. So who's next to read? Mayapur Chandradaya. Well, actually, we'll let Kalpesh read next. Is that okay?
Pranam Maharaj.
What's that?
Yes.
Which number?
It's on text 28. Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. My whole body is trembling, my hair is standing on end, my bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning. I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I see only cause of misfortune. O Krishna, killer of Kishi demon. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire my subsequent victory, kingdom or happiness." Should I continue, Maharaj?
Where you got to?
Text 32 to 35.
32 to 30. You've just read that. All right. So happiness, that's the first thing. There's 5 reasons that Arjuna puts forward why he shouldn't fight. And these are all reasons that we give. This is that he won't find any. First one is compassion, actually. You know, he doesn't want to kill the opposite side, especially because they're his relatives. And he's giving so many reasons why he shouldn't do that. And we get that nowadays, don't we, with these, you know, different groups set up. And like vegan, for instance. I'm not saying vegan's wrong, but a lot of people are vegans because they think it's wrong to actually take the cow's milk, you know. But that's actually a material consideration. Shastra says we should actually have milk. And they'll say, you know, we look after the dog. You know what I mean? It's wrong to actually harm animals. And you see people, you know, they're looking after the dog as if it was the son or a person. But then on the other hand, because they don't have proper understanding, they're killing actually an innocent animal like a cow. So they develop their own moral principles. And so he's got misplaced compassion. He doesn't understand the spiritual aspect of what's happening. And therefore, he's in that frame of mind. And this happens quite often in the material world, as I've just said. The compassion for in the wrong way. Anybody, any other examples? Misplaced compassion. Okay, anyway, the ultimate misplaced compassion is for the body. That's what he's saying. But we'll hear about that later. Can you read another one? Yeah, you can read the big one. Selfish group.
Yes, Maharaj. O Govinda, of what avail to us our kingdom, happiness, or even life itself, when all those for whom we may desire them are now arrayed on this battlefield? O Madhusudana, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, father-in-law, grandsons, brother-in-law, and other relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them? Even though they might otherwise kill me. O maintainer of all living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them even in exchange for these 3 words, let alone this earth. What pleasure will we derive after killing the sons of Dhritarashtra?
So what will happen here
Same.
is that, okay, you can stop there,
Yes, ma'am.
is that different sections of the Bhagavad Gita answer these questions. So I'll see if I can find it just a minute. I'll go back to the, compassion, for instance. These are answered in the second chapter from text 11 to text 30. If we remember, it talks about the qualities of the soul, how the soul cannot be killed. It cannot be withered by wind, moistened by water. It's, it's eternal, ever existing. And it starts when Krishna says, Natvevaham jatunasam, Natvam neme. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall we ever cease to be. And so then we're on to the point of, happiness now. And Arjuna is more or less saying that, if you kill all your relatives, who are you going to enjoy the kingdom with, even if you actually win? He's just saying that, he needs actually to reciprocate. And, just the thought of what he's done will actually stop him from enjoying the situation. Everything will be tainted with blood. So that's answered in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, again, where the compassion leaves off, from 2 to 30, 2 to chapter 2, 31 to 37. Then it talks about, how we'll enjoy by fighting. This is karma yoga. In other words, by fighting, you'll either gain the heavenly planets if you lose, or you'll gain the earthly kingdom. And so you'll enjoy unlimited opulences in those two situations. Once as a king of the earth, one as a resident of the Svargaloka, heavenly planets. He says, if you don't, this is what it says in 31 to 37, then, you'll be blasphemed, you'll be called so many names, a coward, and you won't enjoy. So we're going on to the next one now. Mayapur Chandradaya, can you read?
Yes, I can read. Can you tell me which one? I got lost a little bit, sorry.
36.
36. Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune? And how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen?
Hello.
O Janardana, although these men, their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we, who can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in these acts of sin?
Yeah.
Further?
So that's the third reason.
Yeah.
He thinks that it's sinful to kill his friends and relatives, even though it's his duty. Sin will overcome us. And so that will be answered also in the second chapter, from 38 to 53. So most of these questions are answered in the second chapter, and sometimes one particular question in the third chapter. Okay, we haven't got much time left. We'll swap readers. Barbara Mataji, would you like to read 39? Are you there?
I'm here now. Right, 39. Oh, Jordana, although these men, their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we, who can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in these acts of sin?
Right, so acts of sin. Let's have a look. So that's answered in I read that one, didn't I? 38 to 53. So next we'll hear about the destruction of dynasty. Read the next one.
With the destruction of dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family become involved in a religion.
Carry on.
When a religion is prominent in the family of Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Krishna, comes unwanted pregnancy.
Yeah, carry on. Carry on.
An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life, both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performances for offering them food and water are entirely stopped.
Yeah. So just a minute, I'll come back to the screen. So it shows you how one thing leads to another in this section I'm looking for now. There we are. You see that? Destruction of dynasty. So that really means that the elders in the family are actually killed. Because it's the elders who ensure that they pass on the information to the juniors, right? And I made a little note here. I think I mentioned this before. Can you still see that tier of reasons? Yeah. Okay. So Yeah, I used to go door to door in Manchester actually, and I think I mentioned this, but I'll say it again anyway. I knocked on one door, and this Irishman came to the door, and I was dressed in, you know, in the gear, and he said, "Just a minute, this is one for the missus." So, you know, in Catholic families, the women are the one who keep the tradition going, you know. So in the same way, you know, the elders of the family keep the tradition going. And if there's nobody to keep it going, they just become, you know, loose and degraded. And then, you know, destruction of dynasty. What we'll put there. Yeah, you know, Henry VIII, he was called, I don't know what they say in Latin, but defender of the faith. So that's the same thing, is that the king is the narrative. He's the form of the Lord in human society, because he's supposed to be a great devotee as well as a king. And so he would protect the faith. We hear that in the 4th chapter, don't we, how this knowledge comes through the dynasty of the sun. These are kings, the sun god, down to the earth god, through Vivasvan, then to, or is it Manu, father of mankind, and then Ikshvaku. So, you know, such as Bhishma and all these elders, they're actually seen as being authorities in religion. Actually, Bhishma is actually a Mahajan. And so, you know, if they're actually killed, then the knowledge will be lost. And killing killing elders is, you know, it's irreligious. We shouldn't kill elders. That's an involvement in irreligion. And then the next one, women. This is a very important one, is that women are described as being more, what can you say, like children, you know, they're easily led. So women have a certain way of, you know, thinking. Their psychological makeup means that they naturally follow the direction of the male, of the men. So if the men become, you know, polluted or degraded due to a want of proper disciplic succession, then the women will be exploited. And then, you know, if children are produced in the wrong consciousness, then you get what they call Varna Shankar, or unwanted population. And then, as we see, you know, there's not much you can do. If the population, Varna Shankar, they can't be trained in spiritual life, or it's very difficult, put it that way. And so the whole society gradually goes down. And if we notice in all religions, there's a lot of protection of the women. You know, there's very strong laws on women and adultery, especially in the Muslim faith. That's why the whole system will fall apart. And then, you know, unwanted progeny, Varna Shankar, and then the tradition is that if a son should offer pinda to the forefathers after their death. In other words, offer them prashadam. And by that activity, it releases the forefathers from any suffering that they may be experiencing in the next life. It releases them from hellish conditions. So that's also a way of keeping, you know, a good system, because when we have a son, especially a son, daughters as well, but if we have a son, then it's incumbent upon us to train him properly. If we don't, then he won't look after us after we leave this world. He won't offer pinda. So everything is designed so that we have a duty. We can't just act whimsically. So the ancestors won't be delivered from their situation. And also, when elders are destroyed, you know, welfare activities, they're in the you know, form of sense gratification. We start to become more engaged in that. And welfare activities start to be reduced. What are welfare activities? You know, opening of schools, hospitals, and educational establishments, and so many other things meant to educate people actually in spiritual life ultimately. But you know, if we actually engage in devotional service, we bypass all these things. They are helpful, but if one person particularly engages in devotional service, then he's saved from. That's enough. Put it that way. There's a nice verse. Samashritiye padapala bapalvam mahat badam punyam yashomanari bhavambure vatsa param param padam padam param padam yat vipadam natesham. He says one who's taken shelter of Murari, that's Krishna, the killer of Mora demon, then you know he's actually it's like, you know, he's able to overcome all obstacles. But one who doesn't, then he's actually faced with going through this process. I'll find the verse for a minute. Now, not very much luck today, sorry. Let's have a look. Okay, I may come across it later. Yeah. Oh, here we are. It's a different verse, actually. Devarshi Bhuttapta Rinam Pitrinam. He says, anyone who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of Makunda, the giver of liberation, giving up all kinds of obligations, and has taken to the path of, in all seriousness, of devotional service, owes neither duties nor obligations to the demigod sages, general living entities, family members, and forefathers. Such obligations are automatically fulfilled by performance of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so where do we get to now?
There's another verse in the Maharaj that says, if you engage in devotional service, you're not bereft of the benefits of all these things as well.
Yes, that's what I read the other week.
Yeah.
In Bhagavadgita. That's a slightly different. That's, you know, if we're after sense enjoyment, we engage in devotional service, we'll get sense enjoyment and devotional service. But this is saying that, you know, we don't have to perform any of these lower principles of religion, Artha Dharma, you know, there's Artha Dharma and there's, what's the other, Artha Shastra, Dharma Shastra, like that. We're reading Bhakti Shastra. Okay. Ooh, quite intense, isn't it? Let's have a look. Who wants to read next? We've only got 2 or 3 minutes. Sandeep Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. I have to read from text 40.
I think so. Is it the last one? Let's have a look.
41. An increase of unwanted population certainly cause hellish life both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because of the performance of offering them food and water are entirely stopped. Text 42. By the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. Text 43. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic expression that those whose family tradition are destroyed dwell always in hell. Text 44. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts, driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness. We are intent of killing our own kinsmen.
Carry on. Might as well
Text
finish.
45. Yeah. Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unrestraining on the battlefield. Text 46. Sanjay said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrow and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief.
Well, that's finished the first chapter. We could have gone through it slow, but we just trial and error first. We can gauge whether we went through too fast or not. But basically, observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra is setting the scene for the actual speaking of the Bhagavad-Gita. And there's actually more to be said of how we arrived at that point. We were on the battle. If we go into the Mahabharata, Arjuna or Krishna and Arjuna, they were very, very patient, and they approached the other side, Duryodhana, and they were even prepared to take just 5 villages because they were Kshatriyas, they need something to rule over. And Duryodhana said, I won't give enough land to drive up in. So it was quite obvious that, they weren't going to have any, they weren't going to get anything from Duryodhana. So then it was decided that they should fight. Argumentum ad baculum, we call it, when everything else fails. So then the next chapter will be contents of the Gita summarized. So we'll go over the Gita very quickly in that chapter. And then in the third chapter, we'll start to work through it, starting with Karma Yoga. Chapter 1 to 6 is Karma Yoga. So third chapter starts to explain things, expand on that principle. Okay. So is there any questions or any comments?
Very multi-layered, isn't it, Maharaj? Bhagavad Gita. There's lots of kind of layers, one on top of the other, isn't there?
Yeah, there's so much there, it's difficult to know how much to give,
Oh.
But what I'm trying to do is not spend too long on it, because we can just see the flow of the Bhagavad Gita, like I said last week, and then we can fill it in as we read through. If you read through the purports and that, then that'll be helpful. Otherwise, like I said, we can get lost in the purports and lose the thread. But it's a lifetime study, and every time we study it, we get more and more out of it, because it's applying to our existence in this world and our purification. So as we become more and more purified, then we're able to understand these purports even deeper, and we practically realize them. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for joining. So we'll see everybody next week, hopefully.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Next week, I will.
Hare Krishna Dandana Pranam Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shima.